Hey, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you about one of the other medical lies or medical myths that happened very early in my medical career. I was already out in practice when I investigated and discovered the truth behind this medical lie. But from almost my very first day of clinical rotations as a medical student, I was told this lie as truth. I believed it. I repeated it to patients hundreds of times, and only after years in medical practice did I find out that this was a lie. It wasn't even true. Before I get into that, though, please take 1 second and click that subscribe button right down there so that next time I have a bright idea, you'll be one of the very first to know. Click the little bell and you'll get a notification. Did you know that? I only recently found that out. So let me tell you about this medical lie. You've heard of diverticulosis and diverticulitis, right? If not, a quick Google search and you'll understand what it is. Basically, in the large intestine or the large colon, as you get older, it becomes more common to have little pouches, little outpouchings on the lower wall of the colon, and sometimes those get clogged up or inflamed or infected, and you can have something called diverticulitis, okay? So from my very first clinical rotations in medical school, when I was at the VA hospital and the regional medical center, I was told that eating seeds and nuts and popcorn will get into those little pouches and stop them up and cause them to become inflamed or infected and cause diverticulitis. And so that patients with diverticulosis, or the condition of having those little pouches, should definitely avoid seeds and nuts and popcorn so that they did not increase their risk of having diverticulitis. Now, on the common sense level, that sounds like that makes sense, right? It's like, well, you've got these little pouches, and if you plug them up with seeds and nuts, then something could happen, right? So on a common sense level, you're like, well, okay, that kind of makes sense. And I think that's what messes most doctors up, is that kind of sounds like it makes common sense. Here's the problem with that. And so the many times in my third year and fourth year of medical school and in my residency that I was told that, and that I told patients that, I fully believed that was true. I thought that made perfect sense and that was a fact. Well, guess what? It's not a fact. It's a medical lie. There's absolutely no truth to it whatsoever. And some of you out there may be going, what? You're what? No, I've had multiple doctors tell me, and I know that I've had bouts of diverticulitis after I probably ate seeds. Yeah, it's coincidence, okay? Let me tell you what's going on here. Way back in 2008, a doctor had done a humongous research study that he had published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA. That's basically one of the top 2 medical journals in America. Every doctor should know what's published in JAMA every month. I mean, that's, if you're going to be a doctor who practices on human beings, you should know what's in the New England Journal and what's in the American Medical Association's journal. That's your job, to know those things. So this doctor did a huge research study. And you may or may not know that the strength of a research study is based on how it's performed and how many participants are in the study. This research study it collected research from more than 10,000 patients. It was a huge study, okay? It was a very well done study, and you can glean information from this study and you can make recommendations very strongly based on this study. This is not a study where they studied 10 people for 10 minutes and then said, well, there's a correlation here, maybe, I don't know. No, this was a very long study with more than 10,000 patients. What this study found, you can apply to practice, okay? So this guy studied the question of whether nuts, seeds, and popcorn increase your risk of diverticulitis if you already have pre-existing diverticulosis. What do you think he found in this very well done study? Every doctor in America should have known this starting about 2009 forward. We'll give them a year to read the article, right? There are still doctors today who do not know what the results of this study showed. They are still telling their patients this medical lie or this medical myth, and their patients' health is suffering either a little bit or a lot of it from that medical lie. This research study found that not only did nuts, seeds, and popcorn not increase the risk of diverticulitis. They were actually preventative. The more nuts and seeds a patient ate, the less likely they were to develop diverticulitis. You heard me. You heard me exactly right. That's right. What were the things then, Dr. Berry, that increased a patient's risk of diverticulitis in this study? Well, the consumption of processed meat, being overweight, and smoking. Those are the three things that were proven by this very large, very well done study to increase the risk of diverticulitis with underlying diverticulosis. Now, I'll bet there's a doctor or two out there going, "What? I've never heard that in my life." But any patient out there, any friend of mine, any doctor can just Google this, and there are hundreds of articles on the internet where just laymen have reported on this study in JAMA. I mean, it's very well known on the internet. But the thing that really infuriates me about this is when I'm making this video, it's late 2017. Okay, and so we're how many years after the original study was published? 9 years, and I still have patients coming back to me from the gastroenterologist in a nearby metropolitan city who should know what the heck he's talking about, who's still telling them to avoid nuts and seeds and popcorn because it might cause them to have diverticulitis flare-ups. I'm sorry, but that gets me a little bit irritated. If you're a gastroenterologist and you haven't heard of this study, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Maybe you go back and do an extra year of training or something. Nuts and seeds and popcorn do not cause flare-ups of diverticulitis. It is a lie. It is not true. Eat your seeds, eat your nuts. They're good for you. God put them on the earth for you. You're made to eat them. Eat them. Okay? Now, if you want to decrease your risk of having a flare-up of diverticulitis, then make sure that you're not smoking. If you're overweight or obese, make sure you're watching my other videos so that you can learn how to lose weight and keep it off forever, because being obese will increase your risk of diverticulitis. Smoking will increase your risk, like I said, and also eating cheap processed meats, right? Any meat that basically doesn't have a grain in it, right? If it's just ground up, mushed up meat stuck in a can or stuck together with some kind of biological glue, that's going to increase your risk of diverticulitis. Now, if you enjoyed me telling you about this medical lie, please take 1 second and share this on your social media, okay? You know that you have friends and relatives who have diverticulosis, and if you love them, you sure don't want them to have a flare-up of diverticulitis because it is no fun at all, and it can even be life-threatening. So share this video on your social media, and I'll see you next time.